All right. Well, listen, we are super excited today to have Matt Decoursey on a Growth and Code podcast today. Matt is, I'm going to introduce him, but then I'm going to let him tell his story. So Matt is the top-selling author of Million Dollar Bedroom, Balance Me. He's the CEO, founder of Gigabook, which is an appointment booking software. And then he's also got a super successful podcast of his own called Startup Hustle. So, Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're really excited to talk to you today. So, let's give our listeners just a 60,000-foot view of who you are and how you got to where you're at today.
I am a guy with entrepreneurial ADD. Kansas City born, Kansas City proud. Thanks for having me down here, guys. I love to see any of this stuff going on here in our hometown. I've done a lot of different stuff, and a lot of it's been built around creating something from nothing. So looking forward to sharing some of that story with you today.
Yeah, so I always love the stories of people that started in a bedroom, a basement, whatever it is. So this book, Million Dollar Bedroom, I want to know what was happening in the bedroom and what was going on to get the money flowing, and then I want to talk about the book publishing process because I'm super interested in that. So how were you making money? What happened?
Well, so I had a pretty, I'm going to be 43 years old this year, and this whole story started around 2009, and I had a fairly successful professional run. I worked in the music industry. I worked for a company named Roland.
Cool.
They make the world's largest manufacturer of electronic musical instruments, but I wasn't happy. I was traveling a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't have much, of the work-life balance, as they like to say. That's kind of what led me to writing Balance Me, but kind of took a flyer and quit my job. I've been to 5 colleges, and now I'm a junior. So, at the time I was living in Indianapolis, and Indiana University has a IUPUI, known as Ooey Pooey, has a branch of the Kelley School of Business, which is a top 10 business school. And so here I am, and I'm, just in my early 30s at this point. I'm quitting a 6-figure job, and I'm going back to school because I got accepted to Kelley School of Business.
Yeah.
And had people telling me I was crazy and I was nuts. So here I go through, a year of school. And, in the prior years, I'd gone through a divorce. Now in the midst of the housing bubble. And I'm really sitting there watching myself go broke while I'm going back to school as an adult. I'm having a great time. But I'm really at this point looking for something to do.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it. And then one day, the band Fish.
Yeah.
They got back together, and they'd been on hiatus for a while, and they were coming to Indianapolis, and I wanted to go. And this, when their tickets went on sale, it was Live Nation's first foray with their own ticketing system, and it was a total mess. I spent the whole entire day trying to get tickets, and I never did.
Yeah.
So I was like, damn, that's kind of a bummer. So the next day, they went on sale for another venue, and I managed to get myself some tickets, and I got a little carried away, and I bought 16 of them. I figured I'd just kind of hustle those into the tickets that I really wanted. And
right.
Anyway, I sold them on eBay, and I made a couple $100, and the light bulb popped over my head, and I was like, wow, let's try this again. So, in the coming weeks that followed that, there was a barely known country pop artist named Taylor Swift, who had a lot of events and stuff that had gone on sale. So I was just sitting there at my computer buying tickets and turning around and selling them on StubHub and eBay and stuff like that. And I made a few bucks, and I was like, maybe I can just do something to mitigate this damage that I'm doing to my own personal finance through school and everything like that. It wasn't working. So I kind of kept rolling with that. And the problem that I had was I didn't have any money. I started all that with in an extra bedroom in my home, and I had a credit card with an $8,000 limit.
Yeah.
And, back then, it took a while to get the tickets in the mail and send them out and do a lot of different stuff. So, you're going to run up the cash, that credit limit pretty fast.
Right.
And I had to figure some stuff out. long story short, I got all my poker buddies to give me their credit cards so they could earn points. And I cut them in on a little bit of the profit. And, I went from having an $8,000 credit limit to like a $60,000 credit limit.
Nice.
Fast forward over the years, ended up becoming a pretty major player in the event ticketing game. Ended up working deals with teams, venues. I was the Detroit Pistons' biggest account one year.
Wow.
And stuff like that. So, we kind of took that and built it into a lot of stuff. Now, along the way, I wanted to have some affiliate type websites that bought and sold tickets,
Okay.
where sellers could. So in that first year, I put some money into a local developer and didn't really get where I wanted with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And here I am in school still,
Yeah.
which, by the way, I ended up dropping out halfway through this story because things were going kind of well for me. But
That's what I always tell people that I would trade I have an MBA, and I tell people I would trade it for like $10,000 in AdWords credits or Facebook.
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I had a great experience going along there. But during this time in school, back in 2009, they keep saying globalization, offshoring, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
So I needed some help and did some research and, I had some experience with, some family friends that were from the Philippines and ended up placing an ad in a newspaper over there looking for developers.
Yeah.
So I hired my first employee in Cebu City.
Nice.
He still works for me.
Nice.
Next year will be his 10th year.
Wow.
And I started developing websites with that.
So was the tech that you were building, was it like an online ticketing platform, or was it related to business?
It was related to event ticketing at
Yeah.
that point, but really it was also about marketing it.
Yeah.
So, you don't handle all those transactions yourself. A lot of that's done in kind of like an affiliate type
Right.
way. While your site might offer or hold a plugin that people can use to, facilitate that whole ticket buying and selling process.
Right.
You have to build the site and get it out there and get it in front of people and stuff like that. So, the very first thing that we innovated was what's not even high technology at the time, but at any given moment, there's about 90,000 events that are scheduled somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And, back in that time, Google was really loving new content and different stuff like that. But you had to have a unique page that went with all these events, and trying to automate that process wasn't an easy thing at the time.
Yeah.
So the very first thing that we innovated that was really kind of cutting edge at the time and quite profitable was what we called the APC, the Automatic Page Creator. And it worked off of a template and created unique pages for events as they were announced.
Yeah.
And it spun these things out en masse. And we got this, and at the time there was maybe only one other business that was doing that. So, over those years, we kind of kept developing that, and then we got penalized by Google for some stuff, which is very difficult to overcome.
Yeah.
But, we did a lot of marketing with that. And during that process, I kept kind of building my office in Cebu City. So I have several employees over there now, and four of them are at 7 years or more. So and those same folks, they actually work for my current company, Gigabook.
So they work for Gigabook now.
I have pivoted these people so many times that they probably are dizzy. So we've done a lot of different things over the years. They're like a family to myself and my wife. And I could go on and on about the ticket stuff. I kind of find it boring and don't talk about it too much, because during the 9 years that I was in it, I probably got asked the same 3 questions over and over again.
Yeah.
And one of those is, do you get free tickets?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I pay for them just like you do.
Yeah.
But with that kind of led to Gigabook and some of the stuff that's probably a little more applicable to what you're here to talk about.
Yeah, I've heard one more question about the ticket
Yeah.
space. I've heard some crazy stories about just the ticket business and all the hustling that goes on. I mean, did you ever wind up with a bunch of inventory that you had to move by hand, or did you have to go and fly to some stadium and hustle tickets? Or
No, because we were never. The thing is when you look at something like that, it's very comparable to crypto.
yeah,
And people are like, "Gosh, it's so volatile." Well, guess what tickets is too.
yeah,
And the thing is they have an expiration date. And yeah, we had some ugly moments.
Yeah.
But we also had some ones that weren't. So if
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain about those, I don't complain about some. One that sticks out the most is I think we threw $13,000 worth of Luke Bryan tickets in the trash for a show in Raleigh. And there was a hurricane.
Ugh.
And they didn't cancel the show. I was blown away. The governor of North Carolina declared a state of emergency.
Oh,
but
shit. So you had the tickets and the show happened?
They had this show anyway.
Oh, man.
And it said rain or shine, and they did it. I kind of made a mistake because I figured that they had no choice but to cancel this thing.
Oh.
So I hung on to them. And I figured I might get a refund or a rescheduled day. Well, that isn't the way that worked out. But, that happens. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all part of the hustle.
So for that business, were you driving traffic to that website and running Google AdWords campaigns for different types of tickets, or how were you getting people to go to the site?
Any way we could.
Yeah.
There are so many things that we did over the years.
Yeah.
It's all in my book, $1 Million Bedroom. That's available on Amazon.
Yeah.
If you want to check it out.
Buy it.
It's on Kindle Unlimited too. If you have a subscription there, you can check it out for free. It really started with, like that page creator.
Yeah.
And, as you guys know from digital marketing, what works last year might not work this year. And so if you can't keep figuring out new stuff, we've done blog marketing. At one point, we had about a 4-year run where we were literally, we had 6 people working full time just placing online classified ads. And whatever it is that generates traffic, if you can do it better, faster, cheaper than the other people, preferably all 3, then you're going to win. And, we really generated a lot of revenue for those sites. But the main part of that business of its revenue was really driven by just the resale stuff. And that's really relationship driven, and it takes a long time to build that.
What about emails? Did you build an email list that was, no?
No, because of the way that our affiliate relationship was with a company called Ticket Network. They kept all the data. If we didn't want to handle the customer, we didn't handle, for our own web sales, we didn't handle.
So they were the back end.
Yeah, they were totally the back end. Now, for stuff that we bought and sold that also went through that network, we were responsible for those customers. But as far as that business goes, you want to talk about zero loyalty. If a buyer has it, they will. If they can find it for $1 cheaper somewhere else, they will.
They don't care what side it comes from.
It's terrible. It's like the worst kind of customer to deal with. You end up on the phone for like a half an hour with the lady. How much closer is row B than C?
Yeah.
I don't know, 6 feet.
Yeah.
And that's we kind of got away from that end of things and focused on the resale part.
Yeah.
When we got penalized by Google for duplicate content at one point, some of those sites didn't really recover, and we focused a lot more of our energy on Gigabook. And I that's something I had to start building years ago.
Yeah.
And
okay.
It took quite a while.
So you go from Ticket Space to Gigabook. You're going from like an e-commerce business to a SaaS play. Major difference in how you market, convert, all of that. So talk to me about the biggest difference between the two businesses, and what have you, what's the biggest learning curve that you had between the two businesses?
Well, one's in a way kind of like running a wholesale and resale operation.
Yeah.
But there was a 2.5 year overlap with those two.
Okay.
Where,
so you're running both at the same time?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I actually own other businesses too. So I told you entrepreneurial ADD, it happens. Now, the difference is that when you're selling product, if you have something that's in demand or even sellable, you can generate some kind of revenue. Now, is it a profit? Who knows? That really depends on what it is. Now, when it comes to software as a service, oh man, before we turn on the mic, you encouraged me to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And
let's hear it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have some history with working with people in the startup environment. The one thing I tell people right away is don't ever assume that it's going to be easy to sell your software.
Yeah.
It is so much harder people start these software as a service platforms. And they're like, yeah, it's only going to be $10 a month.
Yeah.
You would be absolutely shocked at how difficult it is to even get one person to give you $10 a month for whatever it is you build.
Yeah, it's very,
it is
difficult.
brutal. Now, once you get it going,
Yeah.
and if you can even get that far without flopping or just even competing.
Yeah.
It can be pretty good and can be lucrative, but it is a dogfight along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, the SaaS businesses are tricky. One of the things that we see a lot is that a lot of SaaS founders that are super talented technical developers, designers, engineers, they either don't want to think about the marketing metrics. They just don't think about it.
I'm the opposite guy.
Yeah.
I can't write one line of code.
Yeah.
And I tell people I write checks, not code. and it's true.
Yeah.
But for me, I had to make that decision years ago. And people ask me that all the time. They say, "Are you a programmer?" I say, "I don't know how to do that. I don't have the right personality style.
Yeah.
I would probably just smash at least one computer a week out of frustration."
For sure.
The thing that drives me crazy is I don't understand how my guys do it. They're like, something's broken. And I say, "Well, what was it?" "Oh, it was missing a semicolon on line 297,000. And I'm like, "Cool. How'd you find that?" How did you even arrive at that being the problem? So, for me, really in the end, I'm a salesman. I am a marketing guy, but I know how to find the people that can build or do what they need to do with technology to help me be successble.
Well, good. I personally think that we need more of that in the startup community. I love technology. I'm not a developer, but I am a tech geek. I love messing around with different tech. I like to explore different, platforms and figure out why one framework's better than the other. I'm into that. I'm not a programmer, and what I feel like is not talked about enough. You go to these startup events, and it's all about the code, the frameworks, and I think we need to. I want to hear about sales.
We need to maybe take a minute to try to sell something.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the biggest thing. A really bad product with a great sales team is going to win
100%,
rather than the other way around.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying build a bad product, but I run into this all the time, and it's unbelievable how few founders, startups, and even somewhat developed and well-funded companies, how little they are focusing on selling stuff. It doesn't matter how great of a mousetrap you build, rebuild, and continue to build.
Yeah.
If you don't ever put some money into that or generate revenue, it's going to dry up and die.
Yeah.
You have no choice. Sales cures ails. That's just really it.
Sales fixes everything.
I agree with that. I support that message.
At the end of the day, we hear it a lot too from clients that want, I love automation. I'm all about marketing automation. I love every marketing automation platform out there. I saw you guys are using Intercom. There's HubSpot and Fusionsoft and Drip, and the list goes on and on and on.
And then there's the people I compete with, which is on many days feels like the longest list ever. So,
it is. You're in a very competitive space.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you can automate all day long, but the bottom line is you still have to close.
Yeah.
You have to sell. And I think
which is a lot easier than people think it is, Ryan.
Yeah.
I consider myself to be a top salesperson, and you really only need to do one thing, and it's ask your customer to buy.
100%. Yep.
It's not that hard. People say, "Well, how do you do that?" Say, "Did you want to go ahead and buy this?"
Sound good?
It's that easy.
Yeah.
It is literally that simple. It's that, and I could, when I speak to groups, I can keep you on the edge of your seat for 10 minutes waiting for that closing line.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants to know it that bad. But it's just really not that hard. And I think the thing too, if you have a sales problem at your business, please listen to this. You need to sell the benefits, not the features. Selling the features, no one cares. And next time you go into a store like Best Buy and you go to the camera department and ask the person there about it, and they're going to go, "It's got this and this and this and this and this," and really all I want to know is is my wife going to quit telling me that the pictures from Christmas morning suck?
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, wrap it up, ring me up, and stop talking.
Yeah.
Let's get this moving.
Yeah, dude, that you hit the nail on the head, right? Benefits, not features. But then you also said something that I think gets overlooked a lot. And salespeople love to tell stories. The art of knowing when to stop talking is huge.
Yeah.
The art of knowing when to say, if my product could do this, insert your pain point here for you, would that be interesting to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, can we get started today?
Much like web developers or founders, salespeople are just good problem solvers. Great salespeople are, because your customer or your client or your prospective client has a problem.
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as like you're selling pianos, and the person that comes in the door, their problem is they don't have a piano and their kid's starting piano lessons. So you have to get down to that solution. And that's really all it comes down to. If you can meet the buyer's needs and demonstrate why whatever it is that you're doing or selling is a value, it's done. It's easy.
I love it. Well, let's on that note, let's shift gears towards Gigabook. I'm really curious to understand, like, what pissed you off so much that you wanted to go and build an appointment booking product. Like, what was that moment that was like, you know what, screw this, I'm building my own?
It's a funny story, and also in $1 Million Bedroom. So almost 5 years ago, I married my wife, Jill, and which is funny. I've been married to 2 Jills now. Interesting. My second wife named Jill, or Jill 2, or J2, or J squared, as there's a lot of iterations of that. I won't get you too into that. Now, so not wanting to have a big wedding, which is pretty much anybody on their second marriage.
Yeah.
You're like, God, let's just get this over with. We decided to get married in St. Thomas. And
Nice.
If you've been there, it's a beautiful place. We invited about 24 people. We brought all of our employees anyway, quick and easy. We bought the $2,000 wedding package on the beach, bam. And with that, we're getting ready to leave. And much like most things in my life, I put off the only task that my wife will ask me to do before we have a deadline until the very last minute. So we're leaving for St. Thomas the next day at 6 a.m. and I have to get my dogs to the kennel. And it was this particular boarder was owned. This company was owned by a lady that I knew. It was about 20 minutes away, and I wanted to support her business. And anyway, they also do like grooming and stuff like that. So here it is. It's like 5 o'clock. Night before, we're leaving at 6 a.m. the next day, and I got these dogs like sitting there looking at me, and I'm going, man, I better get on this. Not wanting to drive 20 minutes and find no one there, I picked up the phone and I called this business, and no one answered. And at this point, I was like, uh-oh, this could be a problem. And so I called again. And then no one answered. I went to their website. Nothing. I didn't even have the hours on it. I was like, oh my God, I am going to blow this. So I hurry up, and I put these 2 French bulldogs in the backseat of the car. And, I get in the car and I'm driving and I'm going, here, it's also like 5 o'clock. So I've got, after work traffic. And anyway, it's a mess. I'm sitting there and I'm kind of just talking to myself the whole time. I literally was talking to myself. I was like, why can't I do any of this online? Like, what's wrong with this? And blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I pulled up outside this business and I saw it was open, and you can imagine the at least initial relief that I had. I was like, woo! So, grab these dogs. I hustle up to the front door. A little bell on the door rings. There's not anybody in this store. And then I hear a voice in the back. It says, hey, I'm back here. I was like, whew. I honestly, at that point, I would have just left the dogs in the store anyway, and sent an email to my friend. I've been like, my dogs are in your store. I don't know if anyone's there, but they are. So I go to the back, and I get back, and this lady is in the back of the store, and she's got this giant dog in a tub of bubbly water. They're both covered with bubbles. And I immediately realized why she couldn't answer the phone. I don't know, it was a big dog. And they really were covered in bubbles. So I was like, hey, here's the dogs, and tell Christy I said hello. I hightailed it out of there. So here I am driving home, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, why couldn't I have done all this online? Why couldn't I have scheduled this, blah, blah, blah. And I started thinking, I was like, man, we've developed all this stuff already for the ticket business. Mm-hmm. We had reminders for shipping, calendars for marketing. We had just built our own tools because we couldn't find the things that did stuff we wanted it to do.
Yeah.
And so here I am the night before our wedding. I'm getting ready to leave, and now I'm bending my wife's ear. I've got this great new idea.
Yeah.
which is not uncommon to hear me say.
Yeah.
So we go to St. Thomas, we get married. My wife has to hear about this great idea for the next 10 days. I came back and I started Gigabook.
Yeah.
That was 5 years ago in May.
Nice.
Now, it didn't end up being even 10% as easy as I wanted it to, thought it would be, or hoped for.
So when you started, did you know that you were going to go down the path of 7-day free trial and then on to a monthly subscription? Did you start with that model? If not, where did you start and how did you get to where you're at now?
I started with an idea and I jumped and then attempted to build wings.
Yeah.
Part of what I had going for me at the time was, you know, I employed people at one business already, and that, you know, that particular business had some real ups and downs as far as like when we were either really busy or we weren't.
Yeah.
And I'm this big believer in trying to utilize your excess capacity in a business.
Sure.
So, you know, we had done a lot of entrepreneurial things along the way. I definitely have a harbor of unsailed ships because of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if Gigabook would be one of those. I just knew that there was a need and that we had some tools. Now, what really...
I'm glad to hear that I'm not alone.
Yeah, no.
I've got some ships of my own.
Oh man, not only are you not alone, like we could fill a local stadium with people like that.
Yeah.
The good entrepreneurs I know are willing and to try multiple things, looking for one that really pops.
Knowing when to stop's an art.
Well, that's another thing too. Yeah, I was going to say there's worthy causes and there's ones that weren't. Now, the thing that really threw up the signal flare for me on Gigabook was as I started doing some research on it and looking into it, like TurboTax and all that stuff, had purchased Demand Force for like $450 million.
Nice.
And they were a similar thing. And I said, wow. And the more and more I thought about it, I started realizing that, you know, here it is at that particular time, it was still difficult for some businesses to even order a pizza online.
Yeah.
You know, now you can order one through your Twitter feed. So as I gave more,
we work with a pizza client, Pie 5. Go order pizza online right now. Pie 5 Pizza.
There you go. I'll do it. I've had that. It's good stuff, actually. There's one out near my house. So, you know, I consider myself a little bit of an inventor.
Yeah.
And a good inventor is building or trying to get ready to build something 5 or 10 years from now. You have to think that far ahead. And that's mainly because these things just take time to build. Yeah. So we started building Gigabook and I, you know, it went for a while. I wasn't even trying to sell it. I was just trying to get it to work.
Yeah.
Now we're coming up on our 30,000th development hour.
Wow.
Yeah. So here's the thing. When you look at scheduling and booking, on the surface, it appears very straightforward.
Yeah.
I have a slot on this calendar.
Yeah.
And I need a reservation. That's a yes or a no.
Right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's not really quite that shallow.
Yeah.
There's so many components to booking and scheduling. And groups and recurring things and payments and cancellations and all these options and I mean I tell people, if you're anytime you're an entrepreneur and you look back at your business, you have something that you look at and you're like, oh my God, I was so far off from what I really expected that would be. I mean, and for me, it was the number of if-then scenarios and the complexity. It's calendaring is easy if it's one thing. Yeah. If it's one service in one spot. But as you stack components upon that, it doesn't just go up levels. It actually is exponential. Yeah, different because types of businesses. Just all this. It becomes this like really obscene spider web of options, and they can conflict and they can do things. And by the way, if there's one thing you can really screw up that will get someone mad, it's their calendar. Yeah, or their bookings, or just any of that.
Did you ever think about breaking it by vertical, right? Because it seems to me like it'd be a lot easier to do bookings for insert type of business here.
Yes, but now here's the thing. So as we built Gigabook for its first, couple years, we were just doing it. It was like a side thing. Yeah. I didn't even know how serious we were about it for a while, and it was something that we were building. And it definitely started picking up some steam. But the ticket business, we were really making a lot of money doing that.
Yeah.
And it was always my focus until the beginning of 2017. Now, we did put emphasis on it. One of the things that I didn't do well was I overbuilt it. And you talk about verticals. Forget the verticals. I should have made it so ridiculously simple.
Yeah.
And put it out there, even if it was for free.
First line of code to first dollar of revenue was how long?
$300,000.
Man.
3 years.
Yeah. So it was.
I could have shortened that if that
Yeah.
was all we did.
Yeah.
But it was in that ballpark.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was just to start getting like $10 a month from someone.
Yeah.
And don't think that was happening every day, all day.
Yeah.
Like it's I don't even know how many competitors I have, Ryan, because I don't even pay attention anymore. I probably like 100.
Yeah.
Now, the good news is everyone needs a calendar. There's a huge demand. And what we started building 5 years ago, 9 women don't make a baby in a month.
Yeah, for sure.
And it has definitely prohibited a lot of people from being able to catch up fast. Even a big box company, just because they have a giant room of developers, doesn't mean they're going to come out with a similar product than we do. We had to find a niche. And rather than being industry vertical, our niche was that as we built everything, we made it fully customizable.
Okay.
And that's something that the other people don't do. We also waved the white flag on several industries like immediately. For example, restaurants.
Yeah.
Open Table. They won, man. They're done.
Yep.
It's over.
Yep.
I'm not going to ever compete with them. A recent guest on our podcast, when asked who he was, he said, "Well, Matt, I'm really just a coward." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, I try to find something no one's doing, and then I go somewhere where no one else is doing it, and I can be left alone."
Yeah.
And we've taken a similar approach. There's 25 million small businesses just in the United States.
Yeah.
And the ones we gave up on were hair salons.
Yeah.
There's several people that do that. Food, medical, just because of companies like Cerner here in KC. Like you want to compete with Cerner, and they're like 12 skyscrapers filled with people and resources because it's just they won. Let them have it.
Yep.
And so really where Gigabook comes into and where we get a lot of play is people that want a higher level of control. Okay. They don't want to be constrained to being able to do this and do that. And, we do a lot of different things and have a lot of like we set up a lot of things for you.
Yep.
I don't know if you went through our Smart Start
I
setup.
did. So I went through that, and I noticed a couple things that jumped out. One, being able to name the types of events or appointments that you're taking. I thought that was pretty unique. I've used a couple of booking tools in the past, and I've never gotten very far with any of them.
Because you can't get them set up quickly.
Yeah, it's a trick to get them set up.
That Smart Start process was last year's big innovation, and it doubled our conversion rate.
Was that something that
literally doubled it?
Was that something that your user base asked for?
We didn't have a choice, man. It was so clear that. So here's the problem that you have when you build something that's highly customizable is that was our strength. I like to tell people your strength and your weakness hold hands.
Yeah.
And so the complexity was a plus for some, and then it was scaring off half of the people that were signing up because they were just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So we literally dumbed our platform down. We made it simple and here's your advanced settings if you want them, and we put them all on one page rather than these sidebars that had a million things on them.
Yeah.
But we turned our weakness into our strength with the Smart Start thing, and it took me a lot of hours of staring at stuff to really get that. So what Smart Start does is it asks you saw it asks you 5 simple questions. Yep. What do you want to take bookings for? Do you have multiple locations? Do you have multiple employees? Do you want to take payments? And do you want to sync us to a third-party calendar?
Yep.
Based on the answers to those questions, Gigabook can create a customized and tailored account setup that will only ask you the questions it needs to know. And at the end, you're done. You're set up. You can get set up your Gigabook account, and depending on how fast you're trying to do it in a couple minutes. Yeah. And we used, 2 years ago, we used to call you.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, I saw you haven't set up your account. Can we hold your hand and take it out? And that wasn't scalable.
Yeah.
So
now is all that happening with Intercom? or some sort of automation?
Well, Intercom is a beautiful thing too, and they have a pretty nifty product. Intercom, the coolest thing it's funny. I have a YouTube. I am not this. Hey, I endorse this product guy. I was so blown away with Intercom. I actually made a YouTube video
That's the shit.
that answered. I said, look, if you're trying to use this for your business, do it.
Yeah.
And I don't really endorse things that much, but it changed a lot of stuff. And
it allows you, from what I've seen, we've worked with a lot of them, but in terms of event-driven emails, it's the best.
That's not even it for us. It saved so many people because people are a lot more willing to chime in with that than they are to fill out a support ticket.
For sure.
So we immediately started getting more insight, and people would sometimes be like, "Hey, I'm stuck on this page.
Yeah.
Shit, we better get to work."
Yeah.
And we got so much more insight, but we really just kind of saved people that might have just abandoned everything that they were looking at. And, that's a big thing too.
Who manages the support for Intercom? Is it kind of the whole team? Or are you on there?
I've been a big advocate. All right. So with Gigabook, my whole thing is where can we remove a step? Mm-hmm. Where can we make you not have to turn a page? Where can we give you everything you want right here on this page? So for example, Gigabook has a little icon that looks like an old camera with a question mark on it on most pages. If you click that, it immediately pops open a video. It doesn't have any talking. It doesn't have anything. There's not even an intro on it. It immediately shows you what that page does. Yeah. Bam. Like open, like I don't want to watch your same intro 30 times in a row by the time I've learned how to do this. But we've put a lot of things, like my co-founder is a UI UX designer, and he wants to make it all slick. And at one point I was like, dude, we are just putting instructions right there on the page. Like no tool tips, nothing. Like tell people this is the page that does this, and this. Yeah. And so certain things we've tried to make it, Intercom kind of rounded that out, but we want to give you what you need right there on the page that you're at. It's the same thing with our booking process too, because why should I have to make an account to get a haircut?
Yeah.
I just want to schedule a time. I don't want to give you like a strand of my DNA and let you, my fingerprint and all this stuff. I just want a haircut at 3. And so we've been the anti step, and that's when I mentioned earlier about customization is. Our users can also tailor their booking process to literally remove steps.
Yeah.
So
you said the Smart Start process doubled your conversion rate. You're talking about conversion rate from trial start to paying?
Yeah, we give you 2 weeks for free. We don't ask you for a credit card. That was another thing that annoys me is how is a trial free if you're going to charge me in 2 weeks with this card number unless I go to the effort? And I've been a big advocate of that. So you don't need a credit card. You signed up for it. It takes 10 seconds to sign up for a free trial.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that jumped out for me is the onboarding process. Like the one thing that I struggle with a lot with the SaaS platforms that I use is there's a ton of effort that goes into acquiring trials. I think that a lot of folks fall in the acquiring trials to conversions.
Yep.
And the onboarding process, you guys have a video that is you talking about, hey, welcome. This is what this is all about. If you have questions, to me, I love that, and I would love to understand. Was that something you did from the beginning, or no. Okay? So how
we did the support videos pretty early, and by the way, when we embedded those on every page, our support ticket trap volume went down by 80%.
Went down. Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, my number one rule is this annoying? And if that answer even comes close to yes, then we have work to do.
Yeah.
And I hate it when I have to go 6 pages deep to a subdomain, to something that's not connected, to read an article and whatever. A lot of people, the way that information is transferred and really accepted online has changed.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to tell something to someone in this amount of time that you would view a flashcard.
Yeah.
And some people want video, some people don't. And that made a big difference, and it's all about conversion. The big thing for me that's been a challenge and what's finally gone well is getting developers and the people that work on our team to understand the funnel.
Yeah.
I mean, the funnel is everything, and they would say, "Well, we need to fix all these bugs."
You guys hear that? The funnel is everything.
But it's true, because look at this. So you get someone at your homepage, and that's hard enough to do and maybe expensive to do.
Yeah.
And now if you can manage to get them one step down in the funnel, you've got them to sign up. Now, if you don't onboard them properly and get them set up, they're never going to use your product.
Yeah.
And they're certainly not going to get to that bug that you're trying to fix. That doesn't even matter if they never even get to it.
Yep.
If they jump out or leak out, a leaky funnel is the death of your platform. And I can't say that strongly enough. And it's hard sometimes to get developers and other people. They're like, there's these bugs and these errors. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It does matter, but it doesn't matter if the user never gets to that point.
What about churn? How do you guys deal with that when someone, like one of the things that pisses me off with SaaS platforms that make it hard to cancel? And I'm curious, like
we
if
make
someone
it easy. That's another annoyance. Like, I think I've been a subscriber to the Wall Street Journal for like 3 years longer than the 3 years and 1 month that I wanted to be a subscriber, because I have to call them to cancel that.
Yeah.
Like, I think I might actually just cancel my credit card because it's easier. And I not only do I find that to be deceptive, I think it's annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to cancel, it's right there on your subscription page. You click one button, and
Yeah.
it will ask you why you're canceling.
Well, that's the $1 million question. Is if you make it hard for someone to cancel, there's friction to figure out why.
Yep.
The gold is understanding why they want to cancel. So if you make it hard
we just ask you, why are you canceling?
yeah, so you probably take that, and do you save a good percentage of them, or I mean?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're at the point where they're going to cancel, they cancel.
Yeah.
We have users that have, so the majority of the people that have a paying Gigabook account are a one user account.
Okay.
Now, we call them resources. So we do bookings. See, we're kind of rare because some platforms just do bookings for X.
Okay.
And that might be a service, or it might be a group, or it might be something else. We do it all. You can book your services, you can do groups, and then we also will help you take bookings and scheduling for what we refer to as resources, which is the things in your business. That could be a vehicle, a room, a batting cage, a archery lane, you name it. We have such a wide variety of people. By the way, you talk about the types of businesses that use Gigabook. I can have 20 people in a day sign up and have 20 different businesses. We have an exorcist that you can book your next exorcism and pay for it online using this guy's. And by the way, I've really considered giving him a free trial so I can maybe exorcise some of my own demons after being a startup founder for all these years. But really, it's to see if he can get them out of my software at times. But
that's classic.
It's a wide variety of people.
That is classic.
It's hard to keep people, man. Like, it really is. The single users churn over at a ridiculous rate compared to the ones that aren't. And that's honestly because a lot of their businesses fail.
Yeah.
And they just don't have clients. They don't have users, and they're wanting to put something on their website, but they're just not getting any play. Like, we get just as many the reasons for cancellation as business failed or whatever. Now, when we have multiple user accounts, they stay almost over 90% of the time.
Really?
Well, that's because they have a more established business.
Yeah,
they have multiple people there, and on top of it, they find the most value out of it. Because here's the thing that I made a big mistake with in Gigabook perception, like in my perception of what we were trying to do. I thought I run a tight business. That's important to me. It's just the way I do stuff.
Yeah.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
And I thought that people were going to be really happy to organize and create efficiency around their booking process and all that. In the end, they really just wanted their time back. Mm-hmm. They spend so much time, whether you're a professional or you own a business, how much time do you do this? Hey, Ryan, what time are you available? I don't know, Thursday at 3, is that good for you? No. How about this? How about you just click this link and you know when I'm available and you make an appointment and I'll see you then.
Yeah, something I've started to, I haven't done it well, but I've tried to only take meetings during certain blocks of time, and that's helped a little. I'm a big believer in that, if you want to actually do work, you have to have a 3 or 4 hour block.
Sure. Or you can take my approach and just work all the time and never sleep, because it feels like that. That's a product of having an overseas office too. At about 5 o'clock tonight, my first employee in Cebu City will arrive.
Yeah, well, I know how that goes. I mean, we have a team in Pakistan, and
Yeah.
they're awesome.
I've worked with folks in Karachi. Is that where you guys are at?
They're in Lahore.
No idea where that is.
And it's one of those things where we have a really good process with them. We tee up a set of tasks at the end of the night, and then in the morning when I get here, they're halfway through their day.
Get a
we can
little
get
overlap and some feedback.
and
Yep.
It's a pretty good routine. But you're right. Managing an offshore team is, it's an art, but you gotta work your ass off to do it.
Yeah, if you get it right, it can be really good. And
For sure.
and for us, we've been able to really get scientific with it. We have a 24-hour development cycle. Like, the people that work all night are handing something off to the people that are then coming in, in a more, North American timeline.
Yeah. All right. So what about? Did you ever experiment with freemium? Like, here's a free version that's going to be free forever, and then we got to go through the upgrade path, or was it always?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I've battled with that. Freemium is a drug that will consume you.
Yeah.
And your organization, although it really is a good idea for a lot of people too.
It takes a shitload of cash to fund it too.
Well, it can. The thing is I just didn't. The one thing that I wish that I'd done differently, and I got talked out of, is in 2015 when we first opened Gigabook up to the public. I wanted to make it free for the whole year. I wanted to put a countdown clock on the homepage that said this is free until January 1st, 2016. The faster you sign up, the more free you get. And I got talked out of it. You need to get revenue, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, I'm running this other business and I'm making a hell of a lot of money. I don't even care about the revenue. But anyway, I got talked out of that. I wish that I had done that.
Yeah.
Now, as far as freemium goes, I've had this debate. Like, it could work for us, but at the same time, we start at $8 a month. Give me a break. Do you really need that back? And if you are, you're probably not like my dream user anyway.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to raise that. So if you're listening to this, hurry up.
There's a guy, I can't think of his last name. His first name is Lincoln something, and he writes a blog called 16 Ventures. And it is, in my opinion, at least from what I've found, it's the best quality content about just the content around the differences between freemium and free trial and the dynamics of the different models. It's something that I think a lot of people overlook, that the two models are totally different.
Yeah, well, Matt Watson, who I host a podcast with, does really well at Stackify with the freemium. And,
he has both, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And, if you're going to build software and you want to sell it, it needs to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And what his platform does is helps developers find bugs in a platform.
Yeah.
It's like an error log on steroids.
Yeah.
And so, they're able to run freemium and give people a little taste of what this does. And now all of a sudden, if you want to subscribe, now, and that was, so he does well with that.
So what's interesting though is the one thing this guy Lincoln, and again I can't think of his last name, 16ventures.com is the site, but he talks about how if you're going to run freemium, your freemium users, they're not paying, so they have to add some value.
Yeah.
Right. So they have to do something in the community to add value. And it sounds like I'm not super familiar with Stackify's model, but those freemium users are adding value in that they're helping find bugs and they're helping they're helping grow the community, right? So there's value there.
Matt would be able to speak a little better to that than me. I don't really know the true nuts and bolts in that. I know that a lot of those people, sometimes the benefit that they can serve the community is by becoming contributing members.
For sure.
And I see it. We have competitors that do freemium. Calendly is one of them.
Yeah.
I would hate to work there.
Yeah.
Everybody that I get so many, and now good for them for having so many installs. I've never met anybody that pays for that.
Yeah.
And it sounds excruciating because I'll be honest with you, and if you're listening and you're an $8 Gigabook user, please don't be this next person. We get some of these folks wear us out. The expectation of what we should be providing and how we're going to do it and how fast for that kind of price. My mission statement this whole time with Gigabook, I didn't mention this earlier, is to create tools that are accessible to small and medium-sized businesses.
Yeah.
And that's why our platform's scalable. We want to grow when your business grows. If you got 3 users or 3 things, that's $24 a month. And if you grow, then you're going to add another one. And we've seen a lot of our businesses grow.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that's been great, and that's fine. But there's only so much that you can do for someone for that minimal amount.
What about annual? You ever experimented with taking it from $8 a month to, instead of doing that?
Well, we give you a discount if you pay annually too, so it comes down to about $7 a month. Now we're actually going to raise that price because, and like I said, you talk about that community and the strain that the $8 a month account user easily takes up more time than the people that have 15 or 20 or 40. Yeah. And the reason for that is those businesses have a support mechanism and an understanding of how their business works that doesn't require them yelling at us about it. Yeah. So, we have a lot of people that are I don't want to like totally trash that user level because we've seen a lot of people that aren't, but I do find overwhelmingly when someone's problematic or We've actually fired a couple users. Yeah. We had one lady that at 1 month put in 95% of our support tickets. Wow. For the whole darn platform. I mean, wow. I literally just gave her a refund and I called her and she wasn't real happy. Yeah. But I said, I can't afford to have you as a user. Yeah. I would need you, I'm going to have to hire someone full time to take care of your support. Well, because we take our support tickets seriously. It could mean something's broken. Yeah. But it was just a wild goose chase. It was literally nothing was wrong. There was maybe one that was valid. That's another thing too that it's really hard to overcome is, the challenge that Gigabook has is we have to take a booking application and make it work on your website. Yeah. On your computer, on your iPad that you might be on iOS 6 because you just don't hit the update button. Yeah. And then they're like, it's broken, it doesn't work. Well, I mean, does it? They're like on a Commodore 64 or something, That's good.
Okay, so shifting gears from Gigabook to being an author. Tell me about that. Publishing a book. First of all, I admire it. I think it's on my list of things that I probably will never do. But I'm really interested to hear. At what point did you say, I'm going to put this all in a book? And how did you go from the concept to the published book? And what did that process look like?
Sure. Well, it's when you write a book, people ask you a lot of questions about writing a book. And they tell you a lot about the book that they have yet to write. Yeah. Of both of my books, the most common question is it available on Audible? Which is kind of funny. But yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with people about writing books. So why did I write a book? I don't know. Yeah. I wanted to write a book. Yeah. But I did admittedly have a little more intention behind it. Don't write a book because you think you're going to sell a ton of books and make money. Yeah. You won't. Yeah. People don't buy books like they used to. Yeah. And then 1.2 million new books came out last year. Yeah. And now you have to pile those on top of the 800 years of literature that we've already been working with. Right. And now you got to get found. Yeah. You got to do a couple different things. So here I am, but I had something that I wanted to tell with owning all these different businesses over the years and doing a lot of different things well and still managing to, I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I'm not a total train wreck in life. I am on a lot of days, but I'm not a total train wreck. I managed to keep it together. So people kept asking me, they say, how do you get so much done? How do you do all this? It's like you have 5 full-time jobs. And I really spent a lot of time thinking about that. And that's where Balance Me came from. It's called A Realist Guide to a Successful Life. And it's about finding a balance in your personal, professional, and physical life.
It's important.
The next question that comes with that is, so what's a perfect balance? It's different for every single person. I'm a highly driven personality type. I even get into personality types in here, but really what Balance Me is trying to help you understand what's worth doing and what isn't. Yeah. And I'll give you an example. So no matter who you are and how productive you are, you're going to waste 30 minutes today doing something that's a total waste of time. Yeah. If you can start to identify where that's occurring and replace that with 30 minutes of action that gets you towards any of your goals.
Yeah.
By the way, success is not about how much money you make.
Yeah.
It can be for some, but success is about getting what you want out of life and finding yourself feeling self-actualized.
Yep.
Like you're doing whatever it is that you're meant to do, and you're in some ways in control. And the things that stop people from doing that are related to, well, I mean, I'm just right here in the beginning of this book. So I'm kind of I'm not even kind of, I'm one of the most candid people you're ever going to meet. So, you talk about, three main things. Making real change in your life is not an easy process. The change involves acknowledging that you might be part of the problem. And then 3, that true improvement and lasting change involve time, then periodic review and adjustment.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the key there. We're all our own worst problem.
Yeah.
And if you can't begin to solve that, I can't help you.
Yeah.
And it goes into that. I literally try to scare people from reading this book in the intro, because if you can't handle that second part and understand that you're probably the problem. Now, I've had a lot of people get pissed at me about some of the content in this book.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I'm just a very black and white person in the end. It's a yes or a no, a 0 or a 1, a true or a false. And you look at things, and we're the ones that make the decisions in our lives. Yes, sometimes things out of our control do affect us, and you can't. But for the most part, we're around the wrong people, or we're focused on the wrong stuff, or we just, really especially with people I really want to start a business. I really want to write a book.
Yeah.
So how come you haven't done that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what's your best tip for writing a book? Start writing. Let's start with that.
It's like the Walt Disney quote. The best way to get started is to stop talking and begin doing.
Right.
And I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm the same way. I feel like I get a lot of stuff done, but I'm going to read the book, and
you just need to try to do better today than you did yesterday.
Yeah.
That's the only game, and you don't win that game every day. But if you do that, you prevent yourself from falling into these long periods of decline.
Yeah, well, the third point you mentioned was the review part. I think what a lot of people do
go back
is
and adjust it.
They set up all these goals, and everyone does New Year's resolutions, and now it's what is it, February 9th here, and how are we doing on what we decided to do on January 1?
Yeah.
Are you looking at this stuff every...
You got to write it down.
Yeah, write it down. Yeah. I mean, my wife thinks I'm crazy, but we have a year-end meeting at the end of every year, and I'm no bullshit. We call it a meeting. This is a strategy session at the house.
That's smart.
And this is the 3rd year we've done it, and our goals are on this big whiteboard in the basement, and she's like, "This is nuts."
I bet you have done better since you started doing that.
We
Just
have.
a general statement of doing better.
We have. It's it's super frustrating to look back though at last year and realize, man, we did it really good here, but we totally missed here.
Can't get that back.
It is what it is.
It's the same way with you being an entrepreneur, and you look back at the things you failed at. Living your life looking in the rearview mirror is just a really great way to get in a head-on crash with something
100%. Yeah.
So with Balance Me, there's also a free app.
Yeah.
I spent $30,000 building this app, which is available for free. This is bad business decisions, but I felt so great about this that I literally funded this for the world. I will never charge money for this, or at least I don't have intention of doing that. But the Balance Me app, which you can put on your iPhone or your Android device, it actually has a little calendar in it, and it lets you track your day and give yourself a score. And you can gamify your life. So what it does is it starts to show you where it gives you little red parts on your calendar, and you can start to see them and improve. So the idea here is it lets you compare to yesterday, and then the same prior day that week. And then also a monthly thing. So you can actually score it, and it also asks you. So people say work-life balance. First off, I've had so many people want to debate work-life balance. But you just have life or whatever. And I'm like, no, you have your personal life, your professional life, and your physical life. Yeah. And if any one of those gets too dominant, whether you want to change or not, the other categories are going to come back and get you. If you work 90% of your time, guess what? Don't be surprised when your wife moves out.
Yeah.
Or you have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Those other categories will come back and claim balance from you. Yeah. So it's about trying to figure out where you can make that adjustment and do different things. So the funny thing is, you talk about writing a book, you would think that something like this would just take the world by storm. $1 Million Bedroom outsold Balance Me 10-1. People would much rather make money
than be balanced
and be frickin' miserable than have a healthy, balanced life. But, it is what it is. Now, a couple things about writing a book. Do you know what the best part about writing a book is?
Boy, I don't know. Is it like
finishing it?
It's like having a boat. The best 2 days of buying a boat,
buying
or the day you buy it and sell it. Right?
Yeah, and by the way, much like a boat, there are a hell of a lot more expenses and effort into the book too. So I had an approach in how I wanted to do this, and I ended up hiring an editor.
Okay.
And much like things in my life, if I'm going to do them, I try to do them well. So I went and found the best editor I could. His name's Patrick Price. He's actually pretty well known, and and not to age you here on the show, but you're old enough to remember He's Not That Into You.
Yeah.
He discovered that and was the editor for that, and that was a pretty big franchise. They sold 2.5 million books, but Patrick's been the editor on a dozen New York Times bestsellers. Cool. So I had to have that to kind of get me through it. I hired Patrick. He was my full-time employee for a year.
Wow.
And with that, I knew I was going to write these 2 books. People were like, wow, why did I write 2 books? Well, I know a lot of people have written 1.
Yeah.
So let's do 2. I wrote both of these books at the same time.
Interesting.
$1 Million Bedroom is easy to write.
Yeah.
It's your story.
Yeah.
As long as you're not BSing your way through it, it is what it is. It kind of pours right out. But I learned a lot I did finish Balance Me before $1 Million Bedroom just because we wanted to publish it first. But I learned a couple things along the way. But, Patrick was, that's the thing too, is people say, oh, I wouldn't need an editor. Abraham Lincoln said that as an attorney that if you represent yourself, you have a fool for a client.
Yeah.
So if you're a writer and you think you can edit yourself, you have a fool for a client as well.
Yeah,
so
I get that.
There's a lot of steps that really shocked me. Like, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you typically have 3 different editors on your book. They do 3 different kinds of things.
Really?
You get too close to these things.
Yeah.
And you need other input. And some of them, like the 3rd editor, is just like a copy editor. It's almost like a proofreader. And they don't spend like Patrick helped me develop the whole thing. And in many ways, I give him so much credit too. He's actually working with me. I do have a 3rd book coming out this year. But
can you say what it's called yet, or are you still working on the title?
I'll tell you what it's about. So I told you I worked in the music industry for a while. So the realist guide to a successful life, the realist guide part is my future franchise.
Okay.
And I probably won't write any more books by myself. So for this one, my co-author is a guy named Joel Cummins. He's the keyboardist in a band called Humphreys McGee.
Yeah.
And if you guys
Love
heard,
some Humphreys McGee.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've been friends with these guys for 12 years. I just went and saw them out on New Year's Eve. I mean, I literally I've been to all their homes. Some of them have stayed with me and stuff like
Great
that.
band.
Wanted to do a book about Humphreys, and one of the members said no. The rest of them were into it.
Really?
I didn't want to do a biography book. I wanted to do a backyard barbecue approach where you read it and it wasn't about like, hey, here's the timeline. It was more like I wanted you to feel like you had left just having a couple beers with this guy or that guy. And, those guys are really amazing. They run a great business. They are just unbelievable musicians. And then the best part is they are like the nicest people you will ever meet. You hear about some rock stars and they're demanding 4 pounds of all blue M&Ms. They're like, give us a case of Budweiser in cans and a cheese tray and we're good.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that because I met a lot of musicians that thought they were rock stars that weren't. Yeah. And then when you meet real rock stars and they don't act like that, it's a breath of fresh air. But so Joel's my co-author. The reason that one of the members turned down that book is he just didn't feel like their story was complete yet. And, we'll probably revisit that, but wanting to do things in this realist guide. So like, what's a realist guide? Like, just lay it on me. Yeah. Tell me what's up. Like, let's get all the sugar in the bowl off of it. Like, I love it. Just lay it on me. Tell me the truth. Save me some time. So we are writing the realist guide to a successful music career.
Nice.
Now, Joel understands that. Yeah. He's been a touring musician for over 20 years. They sold out Red Rocks 3 nights last year, and then came back to Denver 4 months later and sold out 4,000 seats a night at the Fillmore.
That's one of those bands that
gets no radio play.
I was going to say half of the people don't know who they are, but the half that people that are fans love them. Well, they have a super big following, cult following.
And you could do a whole nother thing about that. They have built a tribe. That is just as interested in interacting with each other as they are with the band.
Yeah.
And they're really freaking good.
Yeah, they're like in that. I mean, I don't, not to compare them to bands, but like Widespread Panic. I think they're similar.
They're Widespread Panic, Fish, The Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Like, is that really a bad? Is that to be the next in line on that? And they are. Those guys are really great. So, here's the thing: and so what do I know about a successful music career? Well, I worked in the music industry for 10 years, not as a musician. I worked selling musical instruments and dealing with companies. Like, that's a component of
the ticket business too.
Which sure. Not as much that the music industry helped me be better at tickets, because I understood there's a difference between popular and passionate.
Yeah.
Popular, you won't pay a premium for. If you're passionate about it, it doesn't matter. You're going no matter what. Like, the money's really kind of secondary.
Yeah.
You're like, get me in the door.
Yeah.
Like Iggy Azalea was a great example of that. She had a #1 song and had to cancel her tour. She couldn't sell any tickets. No one was passionate about whatever. I can't even name a song. Yeah. But you have bands like, like Dave Matthews,
like
even Taylor Swift, Pearl Jam, like Wilco. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Wilco, but they sold out the buildings. They do something that moves people. Yeah. So
it's like fear of missing out too. Like, people at Wrigley 2 years ago went to Wrigley. Like, Pearl Jam fans, like, I do not want to miss that show.
Right. And that's a band that doesn't tour often too. So you better hurry up and go see it.
Yep.
So with Joel clearly has this experience of building something from scratch. When Umphrey's 20 years ago, when they first came out, every ticket stub for every band everywhere was like, no recording, no pictures, no nothing. They would tell you, come record everything we do and give it to everybody you know. How smart is that?
Yeah.
Like, and along the way, they have 20 years of recordings. They've recorded every single show. They're on like show 1,300, and you can listen to every single one of them and subscribe to them for $99 a year. They created perpetual gate revenue.
Yeah.
They're making money off shit they did all this time ago. So what the Realist Guide is aimed at trying to help musicians understand the business part. That's kind of where I do a little helping. And if you're going to start a band or do anything, guess what? That's a startup.
Yep.
And we try to guide people through it. So what started as kind of an indie little project it has grown legs. The people that I encourage Joel to reach out to that are already in this book, like Huey Lewis.
Nice.
That was like Huey, and if you don't know who Huey Lewis was, you just weren't alive in the 80s.
Huey Lewis. Do you know who Huey Lewis is, Addison?
I don't.
Oh, Huey Lewis, dude.
If you saw Back to the Future, the theme song for that, "The Power of Love." This is back when we had cassettes and we were rocking it.
Afraid you guys are just too darn loud.
Well, Huey was not to bring color into this. He was the most famous white man on the planet for several years. He got some stuff figured out.
Yeah, he was the stud.
And like Huey, Susan Tedeschi, who's easily the most famous female guitarist.
Yep.
Vic Wooten, the world's most famous bassist.
Dude, we were just talking about Vic Wooten the other day. My boy Bryce here. We were talking about if we could build a band.
You start with Vic.
Who the players would be, and he's like, who would you take on bass? I'm like, Victor Wooten, no question about it. And he's like, who is Victor Wooten? And I was like, dude, if you're
into music, and that's the thing. We're not trying. I don't care if you're not someone that wants to read this book. Like, fine, but if you play music, like, who Vic is.
Yeah, for sure.
Taylor Hicks, the season 5 American Idol winner.
Yeah.
And he's apparently a huge Humphreys McGee fan.
Huh.
And that was actually our first person in the book. We have people that are high up in the recording industry, the promoter industry, like the guy that founded Relics Magazine is in there. He was also the promoter for the Grateful Dead reunion that sold out Soldier Field, by the way.
This is a long shot. Do you know a guy named Ryan Imming?
I don't.
Ryan Patrick Imming, he's a local guy.
I might. It sounds familiar, but I don't know if I know him.
He's kind of played in that sort of samples, Jacko Pierce, Big Ed Todd scene for the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. He'd be a good connection for him.
Anyway, what this book is, all we're trying to do is help a musician, and you talk about, if you're going to write a book, you really should start by doing it without any commercial intent.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to sell a whole lot. I mean, in July, $1 Million Bedroom was the top new release for small business books on Amazon. And I was shocked and so excited and happy about that. But, it doesn't mean I sold 1 million books or anything like that. It's just, books don't have a sense of urgency, man. They're not going away. You can always get it. And honestly, the longer you wait to read it, probably the easier it is to find it for next to nothing.
Yeah.
So
Let's shift gears to podcasting. So,
okay.
We
something else that you can spend a lot of time doing and make no money on.
yeah, right, exactly. Right.
Caution,
now,
Ryan. Caution.
$0.
Be
right
careful what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've kind of gone down this path of trying to. I mean, our goal is to start more conversations. Plain and simple. I don't have a end game here. This isn't. We're not trying to monetize this. We're not. I have
hard.
no plan,
Yeah.
no idea what's going to happen. We're just the bottom line is what we decided to do is try to see if we could have some cool conversations.
Yeah.
And see what happened. That's it.
That is exactly why Matt Watson and I. Well, we had a couple of reasons. So our podcast, Startup Hustle. We needed some therapy, man.
Yeah.
We needed to be able to bitch it out a little bit. And Matt and I have this imaginary club called the Founders Club, which is for startup founders where you can just feel comfortable walking in the room and crying.
Yeah.
And we call it tears and beers. And I say that because, there's a lot of ups and downs to entrepreneurship, but much like I just mentioned with the music book, you're really doing the world a lot of good if you can help someone avoid the same dumb stuff you did.
Yeah.
And so that's been a big thing we talk about that a lot. Now, for those of you that aren't listening, Matt Watson sold a company when he was 29 for $147 million.
Yeah.
He and that wasn't, there was no luck involved there.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant guy. He's a very savvy business person. As a technologist, I don't know if there's more in this town that are better.
Yeah, he's just done.
I'm a different person than he is. I'm not a tech guy. I am, but I don't write code. I don't do all that. I'm a sales guy. So we made it was a good team when it came to putting that together.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of different opinions about certain things, as do I, and that is what it is. So,
cool.
I kind of had to. I at first Matt was like, well, I don't know. I was like, dude, we're gonna record a few of these and see what happens.
See what happens. Well, that's I love it.
So that was a lot. There was a lot to figure out with that. There is something that I learned about podcasting I work with people to help them build their brand.
Yeah.
It's like one of the things that we didn't even get into. Maybe we just needed to do a series, Ryan. But like last year I had a client out in Vegas that owns a shoe store. I helped him build a YouTube channel. He's got 150,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And it's challenging to do, but I tried to do some of that myself, but I took the wrong approach. And honestly, podcasting is the way to go. And the reason is you don't have to say no to something else to listen to a podcast. If you want to watch my YouTube channel, you have to maybe say no to working out or driving home from work.
Yeah.
Do not watch my YouTube channel while you're driving.
Yeah.
And I made a mistake with that approach. And I have some viewership on my YouTube channel, but nothing like the podcast is done. And you don't have to say no. So people listen to podcasts while they're driving. Yeah. I think the people that comment, they're like, I love the length of this, which we're way past our length, but they can start it when they leave work, and they can pick it up on the way back.
Yep.
Or they're jogging or they're doing anything, and 25% of people in this country, which is a lot, listen to a podcast regularly or more than one. Yeah. So, and once again, that's still kind of crowded. So how do you get people to listen? Yeah. We really had no clue.
Yeah, we're the same way. We're experimenting, see what happens, and So if you haven't checked it out, check out Startup Hustle, startuphustle.xyz, right?
That's the website.
Yeah, okay, that's the website. And
you can Google startup or startups at this point. We've done well enough that the episodes or the podcast itself will pretty much letter your iTunes app or desktop applications.
Maybe we need to hire you for our podcast optimization agency.
Maybe. We know a couple things here and there.
Cool. Yeah. Well, listen, man, I really appreciate you coming in. I've enjoyed the conversation thoroughly, and hopefully it's not the last time we connect. Matt Decoursey, everybody, author of $1 Million Bedroom, Balance Me, CEO of Gigabook.
And a coward at heart.
And a coward at heart, co-founder of, co-host of Startup Hustle. Check it out. Where can everybody go to check out? Was it gigabook.com, right?
Gigabook.com, yeah. Startuphustle.xyz. You can find our podcast, in a lot of places. Amazon for books. Matt mattdec.com. You can actually buy the books cheaper than you can on Amazon, or if you can find me somewhere in Kansas City and you're nice, I might just give you one for free.
Sweet, man. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for coming in, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks a lot, dude.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.